manufacturing is not so much about the finished product, but the chain stops where we get to sell this finished products. And the question is, who will buy our finished products? Do we have a rigorous marketing outreach for our products?
Yes, we do. This is why when I go to America, I keep trying to enforce AGOA so that we can push our textiles into the American market. That is why I'm very keen as we negotiate on EPAs with the European Union. We're there negotiating EPAs, and that's why we travel there to engage them, because these are the markets that we seek. That's why when I go to China and I say we want to push our avocados, our flowers, these are the markets that we seek. That's why I'm a very keen supporter of our own Africa Free Trade Arrangement, because the more we can remove barriers on the African continent, the more we can trade with one another. The more we can trade with one another, the more we can produce, and the more jobs that we can create. So you know, everybody thinks that some of these trips one makes are joyrides. They're not joyrides. We need these relationships because ultimately we need these markets. And you only do so by engaging in a constant, regular manner to see how we can ensure that those goods that we either grow, manufacture, assemble, have markets, right? Because at the end of the day, our own local market of 40 million is not adequate, yeah, to provide us with the jobs that we need. So we have to venture out. We have to make friends. We have to negotiate. We have to be able to establish relationships that allow our products to move out into the world.
Right. And you've talked about reducing these barriers so that it's easier to do business in the country. But there are some people who have a feeling that there's little done to make doing business as smooth as possible. For example, clearing of goods at the port of entry. You had to intervene for KRA and KEBS, you know, to release the goods. And
no, you've got to remember that, and we have to remove this contradiction. Because the first point was, and you mentioned it actually, it's you've just kind of forgotten about it, but you mentioned it. The first point is, remember that we said that we had, because of porous borders, because of poor custom regulations, a lot of goods coming in that were resulting in manufacturers feeling, you remember mentioning that. So we had to first of all deal with that. Well, in the process, yes, there were also implications in the sense that there were also genuine traders, or not traders per se, but genuine importers who were bringing in parts who were also affected, and it affected industry. And that's why I believe there was a kind of a commotion, and we went in and we resolved. And we said, as much as we want to control to ensure that we don't have a flood of cheap, below standard goods coming into the country, we also don't want to frustrate genuine business people. Yeah? And that's why recently, even when I went and we looked at the whole situation, we said there must be a balance between controlling what comes into the country to ensure we protect our own local manufacturers, but at the same time not creating inconvenience, right, that makes it difficult for people to do business in Kenya. And that's why, as we looked at the whole scenario, we said, look, there were almost 11 procedures that had been put in place to protect the first part. And we saw that maybe these are too many and too cumbersome. And we reduced them to 4. And we reduced the time, and we said, now, officers from customs and all those 4 agencies that were mandated to look into, we gave them a time frame within which to clear goods. It was no longer unlimited. You know, you have to clear within a specific period of time. So we fix one problem, it generates another problem, but we continue doing it until we get it right. Because the objective is ultimately, let's get it right. Let's make Kenya a place where we encourage, support, local manufacturing and local jobs, but at the same time don't inconvenience our ability to bring in intermediate or accessories that are required, right, to support our local manufacturing.
And there's some hygienic issues that have either been ignored or taken too long to be addressed. For instance, the road network in industrial area is really in bad shape, and some of it, like Likoni Road and Enterprise Roads.
I would like to take a drive with you on a number of roads, that nobody is giving the national government credit for, that are being done in Nairobi currently as we speak. An additional number that are also going to be done, including some of the ones that you've mentioned, but others are taking, and me, I've said, at the end of the day, what we want is the work.
Right.
And sometimes I think it's better. I'll arrange. Since you're the one who has asked me the question, I put you in my car and show you
I will be honored
a few things that have happened to try and address ourselves to those particular stumbling blocks.
Right, and I'll take you up on that, sir.
I will don't worry, hivi karibuni.
Karibu. But the question I asked particularly about Likoni and Enterprise Road is that there's some industries that feel the need to pack up and either go somewhere else or close completely because the networks of the road, the poor shape makes it very easy.
Because there has been no investment in those roads. But you've also got to remember, as I said, there is works that currently the national government is doing. But that's not our work. But I'm not going to go there, but we're doing, right? They may have signposts of different, but I'll take you and I'll show you. And I'll challenge anybody to say, tell me that this is not national government money that has done this work.
All right, fair enough. Now, China became the world's workshop by making it very easy to produce goods there. And it did this because of a number of reasons. For instance, making labor cheap. How are we keeping our labor cheap in spite of this being a free market? For instance, the cost of living in Nairobi alone is really high. So how are we doing? Is there anything that we're doing to make this?
This is the agenda of affordable housing. Affordable housing is to make it affordable. Right? And that's why when you look at Park Road development, the new developments that we're doing, when you look at the developments that we're going to be doing out in Athi River, we're looking at focusing ourselves on affordable housing in order to reduce the cost of living, but also reduce the cost of doing business. Right? And that's why that housing agenda is important. That's why we're talking about trying to do everything that we can to improve the road networks in our cities. Again, I think, God willing and everything being equal, again, in a couple of months, you will see a number of major initiatives that we're going to be taking, not just in Nairobi, but across the country to actually ease, right, congestion on our roads, because that again also adds to the cost of doing business. We have just done major works just in the city of Nairobi, right, to improve the transmission network, right, of power in order to create better stability, right, because that's been another big problem of power outages, power fluctuation, and we have made a major investment to improve the stability of power, in the city. We're still not there yet because we're still doing the last mile works. Like I said, I've given you an offer that one of these days I'll take you to show you what we are doing in some of the areas that you're mentioning. We have not done them all yet, but we have started. We are working towards improving even the access to get ourselves into the inland container depot, because that's been another huge stumbling block, where you find lorries and trucks, jam-packed in there. Again, adding to the cost of business. We fix that, we do it. Major highway that is going to go across from Athi River all the way out to Westlands, so that anybody who has no business in the CBD is able just to move on the superhighway, so that we again decongest the city. All these things we are doing in order to make it, like I said, make our country, reduce the cost of doing business and reduce the cost of living. Yeah? That's why all these different investments are currently being made. And like I'm saying, some already done, which I can show you. Others not working. We're very usifikirie tumekimya kwa sababu hatujui ni nini tunafanya. Tunajua ile tunafanya.
Sawa, sawa. Now the other thing that China did is to woo investors is giving land for free. Now buying land in Nairobi costs an arm and a leg, and it always shoots up the cost of investment. How can we possibly address this?
That's what we are doing. Go to Parklands today. Project that is ongoing on government land. Okay? That ultimately we are identifying all government land, and that's why we're saying we are going, that's why we are reclaiming, yeah, a government land that has been illegally acquired. So all these areas where we are now focused and doing certain developments, it's all on government land. And we have said and put in place a program, yeah, where the old way of just dishing land is gone, right? And ensuring that part of government contribution to affordable housing is making land available and working together, even where we are not directly involved in those particular projects, making infrastructure, water, roads, power available, right? So that ultimately the cost of these projects go down.
All right, and just staying with China as a benchmark, you know, being what is regarded as the world's workshop. The other thing that the communist
Why are you making China a
administration,
benchmark?
all right, just looking at the industry and manufacturing, really. What the communist administration has done and made a policy is to spread the prosperity pie across the country.
That's what devolution in Kenya is all about. And that's why we were in Eldoret the other day, launching Rivertex. That's why I will be in Kisumu very soon, launching the new Kenya Breweries factory. That's why soon we will be in Lamu, launching the new port in Lamu. That's why we've been to Thika, launching the assembly of Peugeot, of ingine gari inaitwa nini, VW, who are now assembling in Thika. That's why we have Wrigley's, who have moved and are functioning in Machakos, right? We are devolving development in order to ensure equity and in order to ensure, right, that every single part of our republic is part and parcel of our progress agenda. I will be shortly in Marsabit launching the 400 kilowatt, one of the largest wind farms on the continent of Africa. We will be in Garissa launching very soon one of the largest solar farms on the African continent. Dada, hizi projects ziko kila pahali. Soon we will be in Nyeri launching the assembly of plasma TVs and mobile phones, because we will now be doing the motherboard, something that has not been done anywhere in this country forever. So sasa hii maendeleo jamani, unajua nyinyi munaona tu wale wanapiga makelele kule, mnafikiria hiyo kelele ndio maendeleo. Maendeleo ni kukaa kwa ofisi na kufanya kazi.
Na iko kila mahali.
Na iko kila mahali, na tutashika siku moja twende tuwaoneshe nyinyi.
Sawa sawa. So now we seem to shortchange ourselves, Mr. President, when we export our products in raw form. These are products that go and then they come back. We have to pay almost double the prices. How can we address this in terms of value addition for most of our products?
You see, that's why we're now saying, for example, in West Pokot, yeah, soon there will be there'll be a meat processing factory, right? And what are they doing in West Pokot? And this, we're all working in partnership together, development partners, the county government, and ourselves as the national government. Start processing the meat there. Let them start selling different cuts. This is value addition. Let them start processing that leather. They will then move towards making tanneries for their leather. We want to start moving, and that's why we're saying, for example, one of the big things that we're even doing, even in the Juakali sector, is we have set up a leather processing facility for them right here in town, yeah, communal, right? So that they can start making shoes, they can start making all sorts of different leather products right here. We need to value add. We've made a huge investment here in Gilgil, right, with the military that is supporting right now approximately 3,000 farmers, right, where now they no longer import all their dry goods, everything, they're manufacturing, processing right here. We're working very hard to see how we get our canning factories going so that, again, add value. By adding value, create jobs. So, jameni, tunajaribu.
Sawa sawa. And what will be Kenya's signature product, Mr. President? We have, different countries have different signature products. The Germans have the cars, Americans have Boeings, China is a master of everything.
I believe ultimately the signature product that Kenya will have, and that's my dream, is the Kenyan brain. And that's why we're focusing ourselves on education, focusing ourselves on IT. The biggest asset that I wish to develop, and I believe Kenya has, is our human capital. And our human capital is not limited just to making cars and to farming but that human capital has the capacity, yeah, to venture, develop, and be the best in almost every field. How we do that? We focus ourselves and we create an enabling environment that allows every single Kenyan to be the best that they can be. So for me, I am not looking at a particular sector. I am basically looking at seeing how can I lay a foundation in Kenya that allows to exploit that asset, which is the greatest asset which we have, which is our people. Hapo ndipo niko. Whether they then venture into making cars, whether they go and venture into becoming the best movie producers, the best interviewers, the best fashion designers, hiyo ni yao. But focus on ensuring that we create that environment for them.
Fantastic. And lastly, Mr. President, for the manufacturing sector in the country, what is your vision for this, even beyond the remaining years in your tenure, your vision for the manufacturing sector in the country?
For me, like I said, with the human skill that we have, if we can just create that enabling environment, increase our capacity to generate power, continue to improve our infrastructure, continue to improve our ICT and fiber network, continue to entrench devolution, that encourages development, that is not focused in one area but across the country. My vision, my hope is that this Agenda 2030 that we have, I truly believe we can achieve it well before, so long as we remain focused, so long as we remain united, so long as we remain cohesive and inclusive in what we do, and so long as we create an environment where we are able to talk to one another, to discuss, to debate, and to deliberate. So, like I'm saying, if I can help create that cohesive society, if I can help and work together to eliminate corruption, I believe Kenya can be a first world country within the next 10 years. And I pray that in office or out, that I will see that day.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for making time for us.
Karibu sana.
Asante sana.